Okay, so this demo is on project 2, which is going to be a bunch of different things, but we're really focusing on this project on the transform tool. We're going to do a couple things in layers. We're going to do some selection making, but at any rate, this is project 2, transform, edit transform. Okay, so I'm going to display my screen. Right. So I got Photoshop open back here. And I got a whole bunch of pictures open because I used a whole bunch of pictures to make this. So let's start with this. And these are all images that I took, except for the background. So I know they're already large. I'm going to do a little demo on that later, but don't use small or low resolution images for any of the work in this class. Anyway, this is the dollar bill I have. First of all, what I want here is to end up with something like this. So how do I get from, I've got these parts, I've got space. This one I decided not to use, but I'm going to keep it up for a minute anyway. This is my dollar bill, and this is the little earring I had cut out. First of all, things you should know, the magnifier glass is amazing. There's a lot of times when you need to see something closer up, push Option if you want it to be bigger or smaller, like if you want to change the negative to a positive. Right now it's set on negative, so when I click on it, it gets smaller. But if I push Option, the reverse happens. All right, so I have a video that I'm going to attach to these directions that I found online that has 3 different ways to make selections. Selections, basically, it means cutting things out, and it's one of the most important things we do in Photoshop. And there's a million different ways to do it. So this is the easiest one. You could try this one first and see if it works. You're going to go over to Properties, and then you're going to go to Quick Actions. Let's see. Oh, you know what we got to do first? My bad. The layers. I still have the background layer on, and you see this little lock. You're going to have to unlock it. Or if you want to be really safe and make sure you preserve your background layer, you can go to layer, duplicate layer, and you can make one just like it. But for this case, I'm going to unlock it. I'm going to go to Properties and go down here to, I'm going to go actually to Select Subject. Either one of these things will work. If you push Remove Background, it's going to delete all the background, which can work. But for this project, I found it easier to go to Select Subject. And you can see that's it. It just selected it. I don't have to do anything else. If this was somebody with hair, if this was a person with hair or fuzzy edges of things, it would be a lot more difficult, in which case you're going to need to look at the other ways to modify the selection in mask mode, which I've also included a video for this. But in this case, this is super simple because the object is very smooth on the edges, and I'm fine with this whole selection. So I'm just going to go with it. Next, I'm going to go back to my layers. I have a selection, which means I have these little squiggly little dots. I'm going to go to Select Inverse, and I'm going to go to Edit Cut. Now, when you have the little gray and white squares, that means it's clear. It means that anything you put behind it is going to show through the clear spots. So now I've got my dollar bill. But before I start putting things behind it, let's look at the main thing that we're doing, which is the transform menu. If you go to Edit Transform, while the selection is still in place, so let's say I'm going to go Edit Reselect, and then I'm going to go Edit Inverse, which selects the dollar bill. If you do this and you go to Edit Transform, let's go to Scale, and you start pulling it, you'll see that the selection is left behind there, right? It doesn't do the selection. It only transforms the layer that you're working on. So you don't need anything selected In fact, I would, oh, by the way, always have your history open so that you can see what you're doing. Oh, wait, where's my history? Your history is great because you can go back a bunch of steps and all that. So I'm going to go back to where I cut pixels, but first I have to push return. Whenever you're in transform mode, you're going to have to push return to get rid of it, to get out of it, to let you do anything else. Okay, so anywho, I'm going to go back. I'm going to unselect it. There's no reason for it to be selected because you're not changing the selection. You're changing the layer. So I have the layer I'm working out grayed out. Go to edit, transform. There also Command T will take you to transform. There's so many under this menu. I like to use free transform a lot because free transform you can you can increase the size if you drag it by the corner. You can rotate it if you use this little box in the middle. So and you can move it. So free transform is cool, but one of the things I really want you to do this assignment is warp. So to go to warp, you're going to go up to this little symbol. I don't know, it looks like a net kind of or whatever. You click on it, and then it creates all these points. And at each and every one of these points, you can warp and stretch this object, whatever it is. It's really neat if you go kind of crazy with it, you can almost see it becomes three-dimensional. It's coming out to you. Play with this a lot. Now, when it's something that you like, you can push return. It'll go away. But you can also go to edit, transform, and do some of the other ones. You can try rotate. You can turn it. Remember when you were getting out of it, push return. You can go to edit, transform, scale, skew. Now, honestly, perspective is really interesting. And it looks like you can match it up with the perspective on another image so that it looks like it's going away in the distance. But if you want to use that one, I think we're going to have to do a whole nother YouTube video. And it might not be applicable to this assignment. Anyway, try all those tools. Anyways, so I got $1 bill. But for the purpose of this assignment, you're going to need a lot more than one. You need to do a lot more than one. So there's a couple different ways. If you like this already transformed the way it is, you can go to layer. Hey, Gertie. Sorry, it's my dog. Gertie, stop slamming that thing in there, baby. I'm doing a video, okay? I'll be done soon. There's always layer, duplicate layer, which will make another one exactly like this. I do a lot of Command C, Command V. Command C, Command V. So then you'll get a whole bunch of these just alike. And when you move them around, they'll separate from one another. See? But personally, doing this, I wouldn't make them all copies of the first one you transformed. I would go back to, and here comes my husband too. Sometimes tell him to be quiet too. Anyway, I would go back to where it was, meaning just plain. Select. Hey, Dave, I'm filming a demo video. Okay.
I'll be quiet.
Okay. All right. So now you have a dollar bill that before it's been transformed. And then I would go ahead and make copies of it now. Copy me. Wait. Look, it's still. Hang on. It was still my other layer. Okay. I forgot to go back to my layer that's plain. So now I'm going to copy this layer. Apple copy, Apple V. And you can see it'll make me a whole bunch of these. All right. So I can transform each of those individually. But if you want to make sure that you're not going to do any damage, so to speak, if you want to make each dollar bill completely different, if you want to make adjustments to them individually, and I'm going to trash this layer, you got to make sure they're coming off in different layers. right? So here I've got this, and I can go back to layer 0. I can move that one independently. And then layer 1, I have it turned off right now because I have the eyeball turned off. That's the one that I skewed. So Apple V, is it making a new one? Apple V, yep. So now I have each one of these layers has a separate dollar bill on it. I have so many dollar bills. Look. The way I did is I set up all the dollar bills first, all the plain ones. Then I turned off the eyeballs on all of them except for the one I wanted to work on at that moment, which in this case is going to be layer 0. And then as I skewed each one, I started layering them. Basically turning back on the eyeballs. You can see now I put a whole bunch of skewed, warped dollar bills on top of each other. Then I went over and cut out something else. So I went over and I cut out this little, well, what it is a clip-on earring. So let me open up the clip-on earring. File, open. You can see I've got all these tabs open because I got a bunch of different things open. So let me open another one. All right. These are some of my grandmother's things that she had in her purse when she died. So anyways, I'm going to zoom in on the object I want. I kind of thought about this green object, but you can see there's this clear space behind it. It's kind of dark. It's going to be hard to cut out. So I chose an object that's really, really solid. And this is in one of those other vids I showed you. I'm going to go here to the Smart Selection tools. I'm going to do object selection and make a square that is really tight around this little. Now, if I hold the space bar down, wait. Forgot to do something. Again, you have to unlock the background layer. Now it's selected. I'm going to go select inverse, and I'm going to go edit, cut. Now I have the object, and what I did before is I went down into the layer, and I literally dragged it over to where I want it to be, which is this one. And I dropped it onto the image, and there it is. Okay, this is part 2 of project 2. Present screen. Here is my whole screen. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring all the pieces together, and we're going to put a background. I have all of my pieces here. All of them have eyeballs on. You can see that. But if I start moving one of them, it's going to mess up my composition. So now that I feel good about how this composition is laid out, I'm going to go to all of the little pieces of this little grouping here and shift click. So I clicked on the bottom one. Let me just do that one more time. I clicked on the bottom one, and then I shift clicked it on the top. They're all grayed out. So now we go to layer, and we go to merge layers. And now they're all one. So the cool thing about that is I can move it all together. I can go to transform. I go to free transform, and I can change the size of the whole thing. I can rotate it. Okay, so now I need a background. I've experimented with many backgrounds. I think I tried just a gradient. I've tried these leaves. I've tried this outer space one. So you can see I got to turn them off and on. And I like this one the best, but then I found another outer space one that I'm thinking about. So I don't know. Let me see. So first, when you want a picture and you want to find it from Google, you're going to need to go to Google, type in your search terms, what you're looking for. You guys know this part. Go to images, and then go here to tools. This is the most important part. Click on tools, and then go to large. If it is not large, you cannot use it. So don't even try. Don't even look at the images that aren't large, because you'll get tempted. Your image is very large, so it's going to look stupid with a pixelated tiny image. push Control, hold it down, right click on the image, and click Save Image As. If it doesn't save a large JPEG when you do this process, that means it's probably copyright protected and you can't use it. If it has a watermark on it, meaning it has somebody's copyright or words written on it, don't use it. It's going to look like trash. Go back to Photoshop and then go File, Open, and open the picture that you just Googled. Oh, by the way, you might want to call it something so you can find it easier. Now, big problem. My piece here is vertical. And this that we're looking at here is horizontal. Wait. Oops. Where did it go? I thought I opened space 2. Here, I'm going to get rid of this one. Make some room. Okay, file open. You know, it might be. Now that I'm looking at it, sometimes it won't open because it's password protected. There we go. Now it's open. We're going to need to flip it. So before you do anything else to it, unlock it and go Image Rotation. I'm going to go 90 degrees clockwise, and now it's vertical. So next up, you're going to take the layer, and it has to be unlocked. The layer, which is the only layer that this image has, not the image, but the layer. And you're going to drag it over to the tab that is already open of the image that you want to put it on, and then go down and drag it. You're going to push OK. Now, it's too small. So first of all, let me make sure I can see this whole image. I'm going to go back to edit transform. And I'm going to pull by the corner and just make it fit. Even the largest image I could find is still smaller than the pic I shot with my phone. That's just the way it is. Once I got it covered, I'm turn right, and then all you got to do is move your layer that has the image on it to the top. So you can see you can move the layer order anytime you want. Whatever's on top is going to be on top. It's going to show through first, right? I'm going to go drag to transform and do free transform, because now that I have a background on it, this is when you really start thinking about composition. Like, how's this thing going to relate to the background? Where should it be? That kind of thing. Anyways, now I could get lost doing this for a while. Also, don't forget, you can make things go off the edge. Sometimes it makes it look more integrated with the background if it comes off the edge a little. So once you're happy with it, or you think it's just time to stop, then you go to File, Save As, Photoshop, because that way, in case you change your mind or whatever, you can keep working on it. You can also go to, or you should also go to File, Export As, because this is where we're going to produce that JPEG. Make sure this says JPEG. Make sure this is at the top quality. Push Export. Make sure you change the name. Make sure it goes to your desktop or your download so you can find it. And then it's ready to turn in. And that is all for this demo. Now, just to turn this meeting off, if in fact I can find the meeting. There it is.